MTC 2-1, Unit 12. 1-3 Exercise 1. Emerging adulthood is an exploratory age during which young people make decisions that have long-lasting effects on their life chances. Major social and economic restructuring over the last several decades contributes to the precariousness of long-term employment, a collective sense of insecurity in social positions, and greater economic churning, or turnover, in adult transitions. To put those trends in more concrete terms, first, prior generations were able to earn more money at earlier ages, relative to inflated costs. Second, those generations were better able to keep the same job and work their way up within a company. Now young people change jobs more frequently. Third, only a small minority of emerging adults view their current job as a viable, long-term career, meaning it takes longer now to secure positions that reliably pay the rent or a mortgage. Fourth, the skills required for top positions in an increasingly technological society require greater levels of cognitive capacities, which have continually increased the demands for higher education. College degrees, and often advanced degrees, are required more often for entry-level positions now than for previous generations. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC 2-1, Unit 12. 1-3 Exercise 2. The negative health effects of lead, particularly on children, have been known for centuries. Nonetheless, lead was added to gasoline and paint in the United States in the early 1900s, spreading it through homes and roadsides. 1900. Since lead was banned in the 1970s, population-wide blood lead levels have declined sharply. 1970. However, children living in older housing in poor repair continue to be poisoned at alarming rates. In 1999, an elementary school principal in Rochester, New York, discovered that 41% of his incoming students had elevated blood lead levels 20 times the national rate. 1999 Rochester 4120. This striking disparity caused diverse stakeholders, including researchers, lawyers, health officials, city officials, educators, and child advocates, to work together to prevent lead poisoning. The resulting coalition improved health and housing agency coordination, developed a comprehensive communications campaign, and passed a groundbreaking city lead law in 2005. 2005. By 2012, the number of Rochester children with elevated lead levels had decreased over 90%, 2.4 times faster than in similar upstate New York cities. 2012 Rochester 90, 2.4. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC 2-1, Unit 12. 1-3 Exercise 3. Amos Zahavi has suggested that all signals are an honest reflection of an individual's quality. Amos Zahavi. Because it should not pay receivers to attend to dishonest signals, these would become ignored and only honest signals would prevail. Zahavi argued that honest signals are maintained because they are costly, in terms of strategic costs, such that only a genuinely good individual can afford to make the signal. Zahavi. Consider tail length in birds and mate choice. Females may prefer males with longer tails, and only the fittest males can produce and maintain such tails because only they have the quality to cope with the costs that this incurs, increased risk of predation, loss of flight efficiency, and so on. Because the signal is costly, only the fittest individual can produce and maintain such a signal while coping with the costs, and tail length becomes an honest signal of quality. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC 2-1, Unit 12. 1-3 Exercise 4. A category of special interest to the serious student encompasses social problem films, which are difficult to evaluate, for their aging can occur very rapidly. A film can become not only dated but completely irrelevant within society in just a few years. This happens when the problem attacked by the film is eliminated or corrected. In a sense, the social problem film can enjoy a long life only by failing in its purpose, for its impact is generally lost as soon as the problem portrayed no longer exists. This is especially true of a film that treats a narrow, topical, and very contemporary problem. The more general the problem, the more widespread its effects, and the more resistant it is to reform, the longer is the lifespan of the social problem film directed against it. As long as the social problem exists, the film has relevance. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC 2.1, Unit 12. 1.3 Exercise 5.7. Melody, who had at some point sustained a brain injury, became 7 years old and ready for her first public school in September 1969. Melody 19699. The back-to-school sales had drawn me to my sewing machine with blue plaid material to match the eyes of both my daughters. They would both have a new dress for the occasion of Melody's first day at Pinkard Court School. Melody Pinkard Court School. The day was warm and sunny, with the Blue Ridge Mountains displaying lovely fall colors. Blue Ridge. I told Melody that her teacher, Mrs. Williams, had called the night before and that she would have a desk near the teacher's desk. Melody Williams. During the ride along busy streets to the school, Melody seemed to especially want her sister Wendy to stay with her for a while after we arrived. Melody Wendy. I assured her that Wendy and I would both stay to meet everyone and learn what Melody would be doing there. Wendy Melody. She gave us both a big grin of satisfaction when she was told this. When we arrived at the school, Wendy was quick to unfasten the belt on her car seat. Wendy. Bouncy, 3 years old and full of energy, she was anxious to leap out of the car. I held the hands of both girls as we walked toward the entrance. Wendy was often 5 steps ahead of Melody and me. Wendy Melody. Melody's teacher, Mrs. Williams, met us at the office with a warm embrace. Melody Williams. In her soft, gentle voice, she welcomed us and showed Melody her desk. Melody. She went on to tell Melody that she had heard about her love of music. Melody. She would have Mrs. Harris, her music teacher, there twice a week, and would do a lot of music in the class. Harris. As the weeks went by, it became clear that Melody had made a beautiful transition to her new school. Melody. Mrs. Williams recognized and appreciated Melody's efforts to work as hard as she could. Williams Melody. Although colors, shapes, and numbers continued to elude her little mind, she consistently paid attention, listening and trying her best. Melody loved school and especially her music teacher, and it was agreed right from the start that Melody would be treated just like every other student. Melody, Melody. This worked wonderfully well for everyone concerned. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC 2.1, Unit 12. 1.3 Exercise 8. If a group's circumstances are threatened or difficult, many of the members of that group will be angry, and they will want to blame someone. Whenever a threat looms or a terrible event has occurred, rumors are inevitable. Most people are not able to know, on the basis of personal or direct knowledge, why a terrorist attack succeeded, or why the economy suddenly got worse. In the aftermath of a crisis, numerous speculations will be offered. To some people, those speculations will seem likely to be true, perhaps because they provide a suitable outlet for outrage and blame. Terrible events produce outrage, and when people are outraged, they are all the more likely to accept rumors that justify their emotional states, and also to attribute those events to intentional action. Some rumors simultaneously relieve a primary emotional urge and offer an explanation, to those who accept them, of why they feel as they do. The rumor rationalizes while it relieves. And when conditions are unstable, people may be especially likely to accept a rumor about the selfing or invidious plans of influential people. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC 2.1, Unit 12. 1.3 Exercise 9. Why is it necessary to isolate and control extraneous variables and manipulate the independent variable to maximize internal validity? To answer this question, consider a study of the influence of television advertising on voting preferences. Assume we were not interested in the effects of education, religion, and parents' political preferences, or any other independent variables on voters' choices. All we wanted to know was whether seeing a particular television advertisement influenced voting preferences. Now suppose we did not manipulate who watched the television advertisement and who did not. Suppose that instead, we simply found some individuals who saw the advertisement and some who did not, and we asked them about their preferred candidate. If we found a difference in candidate preferences between those who saw the advertisement and those who did not, we could never be sure that this difference was due to having watched the advertisement or not. Instead, it might be due to a host of other individual difference variables on which the two groups happen to differ, such as political views or education. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC 2.1, Unit 12. 1.3 Exercise 10. By 2030 most cars will be completely or partially driverless, depending on the rate of unmanned technology adoption. 2030. This means that by then, the special relationship that bonds fast car owners with their vehicle will have totally disappeared for a simple reason. Car performance directly associated with acceleration and speed will have definitely vanished from a driverless environment, and with it the values associated with fast or powerful cars. Furthermore, speed will most likely be automatically monitored or controlled, taking away some of the risks but also the feeling of freedom that drivers still enjoy. Then safety will remain a strong selling feature. Comfort and more generally the traveling experience will become increasingly important. What is interesting to notice is that when we look more carefully to these key selling features, they look strangely like values that a bus or train operator is promoting. This is to say that more and more the difference between public and private transport will shrink. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC 2.1, Unit 12. 1.3 Exercise 11. Competition with other species for fruit and nuts is likely to have been intense, principally because humans were gathering rather than eating in situ and would have wished to collect large quantities in order to share and/or store part of the harvest. The greater intelligence of humans would have allowed analysis of competition and the formation of resource defense strategies. For large crops of desirable fruit or nuts, it seems likely that humans would have invented ways of reducing feeding competition. Barriers, fire, and noise may have been sufficient to deter primates, but pit traps and snares may have been used to reinforce defenses. For omnivorous humans, a concentration of desirable fruit was not only a resource, but also bait that could be exploited to attract meat. Thus forest-dwelling humans may have evolved trapping skills to simultaneously protect shared plant foods and acquire animal foods. The ultimate in exclusion competition is to have your cake and eat it too. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC 2.1, Unit 12. 1.3 Exercise 12-14. It was a busy day in the market. A variety of wares were being sold and the market was bustling with activity. A man was looking for a good horse to buy. He frequently had to travel across kingdoms for his business, and he was looking for a sturdy, well-bred horse that could move swiftly and untiringly across long distances. He went to the section of the market where horses and other animals were being bartered or sold. He approached one horse seller and then another, but was not satisfied. The third horse seller was a wrinkled old man. He had only one horse tied by his side, and it appeared to be a magnificent horse. The man asked the old horse seller for the price of the horse. He quoted a price that was extremely high. The man was shocked. Even a horse made of gold and diamonds would not cost so much, he said. Ah, but my horse is very clever, the old man explained. When the rider falls down, the horse will find the way and carry him to the nearest hospital. The man was impressed. He decided to buy the horse in spite of the high rate the seller demanded. A month went by. It was market day again. The old horse seller was standing in his usual place when a man came rushing to him. "You cheated me," the man shouted angrily. "Last month, you sold me a horse that you said was clever enough to take the rider to the hospital, in case of an accident. Did the horse do nothing when you had an accident?" the old man asked. "Well, it did carry me away from the scene of the accident," the man replied, "but to a veterinary hospital." The old man smiled. "That shows that I did not cheat you." "It did carry you to a hospital," he replied. Of what use is it to a human being to be taken to a veterinary hospital?" the man demanded. "Ah, but the human being should have thought about that before he bought the horse. It is an animal. The only hospital it has ever been to is a veterinary hospital. How could you even expect that a horse would take you to a hospital for human beings?" the man replied. "MTC. Good job."